Hi, it's Mitzi Wyman here, and I wanted to share a story with you that really highlights how easily we can internalise oppression. And by that I mean we can start to believe the stories that society tells us about ourselves, whether that's as women, as people of colour, as someone from a particular racial group or background, class, whatever it might be, those things that set us apart. About 20 years ago or more, I can't quite remember the date, I visited my uncle in Malaysia. And at the time, I was head of practice management at the Law Society. So it was quite a senior role. And I think the lawyers out there thought that this could be really interesting to hear a little bit more about the profession from a UK point of view. And so they invited me to do a presentation when I was out there. And I was very delighted to be asked. I felt, that was a bit of a feather in my cap. And I turned up, and the most senior person in the room walked out when I stood up to stand on the platform, and followed by everybody else. So they all walked out. And I remember talking to somebody about this a while later, and they said, well, they knew you were a woman. They didn't expect someone who looked like their maid. So what do they mean by this? Now, I'm Anglo-Japanese, so my father's British and my mother's Japanese. But my uncle in Malaysia was my father's brother. And so the people out there assumed that I was white. So they could get over the fact that I was a woman, but I didn't have the right look. Because even amongst those of us who might be seen as Oriental, there are certain ways of looking. There's colorism as much as there is colour. There's a certain type that is more acceptable than others, and I obviously fell into the wrong category. And now what's telling about this tale is that I didn't feel outraged. I didn't feel, like I had to go and protest about this. No, at that time, I internalised it. I had for so long gone around thinking I was in some way less than, that I just thought, oh, I see, oh, I understand, now I get it. Whereas, of course, it's totally unacceptable. But when you're brought up to believe that a woman, like me, can't really amount to very much, when you come from the wrong sort of background, it's very easy to feel that one doesn't quite fit in. I went to 13 schools across many continents. I grew up in the East End of London. My father had left school at 14. He was a stoker in the Merchant Navy when he met my mother in Japan. I was the first one to stay on at school beyond 16. I was the first one to get a law degree, become a solicitor. I later got a master's degree from University College in environmental law and a master's from King's College in organisational psychiatry and psychology. I've spoken at institutions like the World Bank in Washington about sustainability. I facilitated residential retreats at Windsor Castle. But despite all of that, there can still be that nagging doubt. Now, I would never put up with what I put up with 20 years ago, but it's the perfect example of how you can start to believe the limiting assumptions that people make about you, that make you believe that you have to somehow fit in and that you have to think and behave like others and look like others in order to fit in. And I just wanted to share this story so that others could understand that it's very easy to believe things, no matter how outrageous they are, if people tell the lie often enough. Thank you.